But we are back on our regular schedule because Monday at this time is the Shopo Hour with our brothers in studio, Bobby, Steve, Mark. Bobby Cavaco, president of Shopo, a very good morning.
Good morning, Rick. Our most favorite day of the week. Great to be here, Rick.
It's my favorite day of the week after the Bears win a game they had no business winning. Yep. There we go.
One game out of the last 18.
A win's a win.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. You know, your microphone seems to be a little sketchy today. Brother Steve Keogh, vice president of Shopo. Good morning.
Good morning, Rick. Good morning, boys. Always happy and grateful to be here with you and your listeners, Rick.
We're going to reach a lot of people with a lot of messages. And Brother Mark Critchio, retired police major with HPD, but the most handsome man in his chair, without a doubt.
The
in
only
his
chair.
seat. That's right. Good morning, brother.
Morning, Rick, Bobby, Steve. Happy Monday to everybody.
It is a happy Monday. Happy Monday. I want to start, first of all, with mass kudos and thanks to HPD team members for facilitating Thursday's remarkable celebration downtown, because the event itself, without a hitch, but I commented before, I was driving through maybe 2 hours after it was completed. Everything was crystal clear. Traffic, roads, conditions, opening, it was like you just didn't have 5,000 people down there, and it was awesome.
Really good. People don't realize the Community Affairs Division, they coordinate.
Go ahead and tap that. Thank you. Good.
Okay,
Yeah, that's good.
So people don't realize the Community Affairs Division do a lot of coordination for that, and they do an awesome job with that. And
So mad props. All right, I got some stuff, but I'm going to go top of mind around. Bobby, how about you? What's top of mind for this edition of the Shopo Hour?
Top of mind for us is getting our contract completed, which already has. We're still waiting on the Maui County Council, which is on the 16th. But the other three county councils, Honolulu, Kauai, and the Big Island, have all approved the arbitration award. And once Maui completes the process this week, and then we can get that forward to our divisions in the different departments, and they can go ahead and put the pay raise in effect.
Would it be effective immediately upon council approval, and do any of the mayors need to sign off?
In essence, the county council approvals is really speaking for the mayor as far as the signing off portion.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we secured retro pay for our 5% going back to July 1st of this year.
Gotcha.
And then the governor, right? Does he got to sign?
Correct.
He has to
Yes.
sign too. Yeah.
So the governor signs. Okay, got it. Brother Steve, top of mind with you.
Well, not to start our show off kind of bah humbug, but I was talking with family that I have on Chicago PD, and the cops on the job over there are really concerned about the trend, the whole bail reform trend about certain criminal offenses are going to be non-detainable. And some of the offenses that we're talking about, they're going to kick off January of 2023 are felonies. And I was just talking story with him about how he feels about that. Where's that taking the morale of the department? And Chicago's going in a real our former hometown is going it's going in a real scary place. I don't know if we want to get into that, but that was top of mind for me. Yeah, that's just
thank you.
Not to start it off with great news, but yeah, that's pretty rough over there.
Thank you for setting the table. We're definitely going to return for that. Brother Mark, top of mind.
Well, I guess that recent Supreme Court decision over here, a lot of defense attorneys are trying to get their clients released because of the Supreme Court decision of whatever they came up with. But, a lot of bad people are going to be released. So
procedural.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely get into all of that. Take us to where we can learn more about Shopo and support and more.
Sure, Rick. So you can come find us at shopohawaii.org. From that platform, you can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
One of the great things about today is that we have open lines, too. If there are any questions that you may have regarding Shopo, the members who wear the blue for us, then give us a call, 521-8383. Reminding you that if you switch to Spectrum, they offer true gig speeds, more homes, 99.9% reliability. Advanced home Wi-Fi will give you more control and security for your home network. And there's more. Spectrum Mobile. Get unlimited data for $29.99 per month each when you get 2 or more lines. Nationwide 5G included in all plans. Call 808-582-6115. Restrictions apply. Visit spectrum.com for details. Coming up, we'll also have a giveaway from Papa John's Pizza on this Monday Night Football night. And I'll have more details on that in a moment. Back with the boys after this.
KHVH.
Once again, welcome back. 7:18 in the morning, all the way till 8 o'clock with the boys in studio. Want to remind you, live broadcast, Poor Sports Radio Show, 12 noon at Dave & Buster's today for Monday Night Football. I hope to see you there. All right, now, there are many times and many things that occur when you say the second coming of the Lord is minutes away. When we have the third largest metropolitan city, a great city, a city that has the big shoulders for our nation, being run by an individual that is facilitating this unbelievable policy. We talk about safety all the time, how critical it is, the multi-prongs on the stool and all of that. What it boils down to is, what do citizens, what are they exposed to, what do they experience, and how safe do they feel? Steve, do me a favor. Would you please review the story you had mentioned in more detail? And my question to you, what the hell is going on?
It really makes you question that. So basically, this is all along the topic of this bail reform. And Chicago, beginning January 1st, 2023, with the whole bail reform thing they have going on, certain felonies, and I wrote them down just to make sure I got them right. Once the offender is charged, they're going to be released without bail pending their next court date. And when I saw this, I think it was somewhere on social media, Rick, I saw it and I was like, there's no way as a cop that I'm reading these offenses that they wouldn't demand some type of bail. So I called back home to confirm this, right? Because, I got family on the job over there with Chicago PD. And I was like, Frankie, is this legit? He's like, Stevie, he goes, this is 100% legit. So I said, Frankie, what I'm looking at here for offenses, okay? So you get charged with this offense, kidnapping, I'm going to say this slowly, kidnapping, robbery, second-degree murder, arson, burglary, aggravated DUI, aggravated battery, and threatening a public official, along with intimidation. If you get charged with that, you are released without bail pending a court date. Now, I've said before, I think we have the best criminal justice system in the world, okay? But I can't quite understand as a street cop that these offenses would not require some type of accountability from the person that's being charged. Remember, they're not guilty, gang, but really? We're confident that these people are just going to show back up to their court date? Second-degree murder? Really? Again, we're going down this road of everybody's innocent till proven guilty, but where's the accountability to make sure that they participate in the criminal justice system? And for me, Rick, I don't know what you boys think. I just don't see it. And as a street cop, kidnapping, robbery, second-degree murder, aggravated battery, this isn't shoplifting and misdemeanor, petty misdemeanor type things. Those are big cases.
Message to our criminals immediately is game over. Go. Do whatever the hell you want to. No consequence. Because if that's the case, like you said, participating in our jurisprudence. What? No one's showing up. Come on now. I'm trying to fathom exactly the justification. And Bobby, your take on this story.
Well, it's unfortunate that these public officials and legislators are moving in this direction. If you have people that commit a crime, the police investigate it, and they determine that probable cause existed for the arrest, where they can show that this person did it, followed by handing the case over to the prosecutors and moving forward with prosecution. I don't understand why that person can't be detained until their trial.
They can't.
especially in these kind of violent crimes. It's absurd.
So there's no guilt or innocence, right? Help me. When an officer responds to the call, there's cursory investigation that takes place. There's an arrival. There is, without a doubt, substance to detain, arrest, process. That's not haphazard. That's not just some fleeting type of assumption. There's actual justification. You, my friend, are under arrest. What this does is negate that entire process, right? At least in the immediate retention of, to keep the public safe with an individual after that investigation determination that there is a likelihood. Brother Mark?
Well, you start with some idiotic stuff like this, but we've discussed this time and time again. They care more about suspects than they do the victims, and these people that are voting and the public, they need to wake up and get out there and just hold these people accountable that are making these asinine decisions. It's crazy.
What is the potential for this as a precedent for here in Hawaii?
That's exactly what I was thinking, is that, that'll never happen here. We don't know that. Right now, Chicago is being run by a Democratic mayor, Lori Lightfoot. You and I, that's our hometown. Mm-hmm. Under certain mayors, this would never have happened. Mm-hmm. I know that Governor Pritzker, he needed to sign off on this, Rick, but obviously there was support along the chain up for this, whatever you want to call it. But I don't see how this keeps communities safe. Again, offenders are innocent until proven guilty in court, but to take away bail for some of these types of offenses, what's going to hold them accountable to participate in the process? And like you alluded to, they're really going to show back up for court?
Really?
And then it's going to be a big mess when they miss court. Then we got to hunt them down. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, to me, this is part of a larger campaign of trying to make our major metropolitan cities unsafe, part of this whole woke agenda. Again, I mean, is our criminal justice system perfect? No. Some things fall through the crack. We try to make it right if we catch it. But at the end of the day, you're telling me you can be charged with second-degree murder, robbery, aggravated assault, kidnapping, and there is no accountability? You're charged and then, okay, right out the back door. And not to scare people, but as a community here in Honolulu and all the counties in our great state, we have to make sure that we stand up. And if we don't like, I'm sure we're going to talk about it, but this thing where that case was dismissed and now it's setting precedents where all these other violent offenders might not have to be held accountable. We have to stand strong as a community and demand that we don't go down that road that our former hometown is seem to be going.
And like you brought up, Rick, these suspects are going to get more brazen, more bolden. Because we saw it here. When I first came to the department, Kaneshiro was the prosecutor. And when we brought cases to charge, RPI, which release pending investigation, RPI. It got to the point where we would hook these guys up as detectives. We would bring them into the interrogation room or ask them if they wanted to be give a statement. They go, no, I'm going to get RPI'd. They know already. I'm going to get RPI'd. I'm going to get released. So these guys are going to know.
Do we have to go all the way back to Chuck Marsling to find the advocacy? So
I don't think right now, Rick, and I don't know if you, but like I'm pretty confident. I don't want to speak for him. You could always ask him about it when he's on the show. I don't see Mayor Rick giving a thumbs up on something like that. But what does concern me, not so much the county mayors, but depending on who gets in that governor's seat, let this be a lesson to everybody out there that if we elect the wrong governor,
and your lieutenant governor,
that governor signed that into law. Now, I'm not saying the county mayors that we currently have here in Hawaii would be good with that. I don't think Mayor Rick or some Mayor Victorino right now, I don't think those boys would be good with that. But at the governor level, that's who signs off on that, and that's why these elections are so important because certain people have certain views. That might be a good question to ask the gubernatorial candidates, where they stand with what's happening in.
So I'm going to invoke 1567, Bobby, because this was a vehicle that made its way through public outcry, organizations like Shopo, and it was recognized, big pushback. We all know a variant of 1567 is in the works because in the minds of the supporters, it's been vetted, it's okay, we don't have to, we can expand and modify, etc., because people will think it's the same thing. It'll be reintroduced. Would elements be contained within a new version? Because there's an assumption that maybe the general public may pay attention but won't understand what the minutia will be that could facilitate exactly what Steve outlined.
I think exactly that's what's going to come back this session. They're going to revisit 1567 again and try and tweak it, to however they see fit and how they can see it get passed. And I think what's being passed here in Chicago could play a role in that, being where our legislators will take a look at that, saying, well, we have this other, city in the mainland moving in this direction. So, why not do it here? Which I think is going to present a lot of problems, and that's where it's going to bear upon us to speak up and then go down there and testify, not to let this happen.
Can I ask a sidebar question? You've interviewed numerous candidates over the primary process and perhaps moving forward in the general. What has been your impression of some thoughts expressed by candidates of what their priorities are and what their agendas are? What has been articulated to you, and have there been moments of concern that actual candidates hold this to be a belief system that they would implement?
Well, we've talked to quite a few candidates, and unfortunately, what we've heard is that there's a few of these Democratic candidates that have this kind of agenda that they're trying to push through the legislature. Unfortunately, a lot of candidates that have the D after their name, they vote along party lines and just kind of like go with it. They're not strong enough to come out and say, no, this is going too far, or this is too much. And that's one of the issues that we have, being so, having so many legislators in one particular party.
So again, I'm at the bottom of the hour. I want to get this out. The other side of the coin might be expressed. You're innocent until proven guilty. You should not detain, put into a cage, anybody who is not determined to be innocent. The response to that would be?
Like you said in this broadcast, we're not just picking this guy off the street. Okay, bam, you did it. There's procedure, there's probable cause, right? But now we have the judicial system to oversee it, but there's a reason why they're detained. It's not like we just picked them out of our crowd, right? Mm-hmm. There's witnesses, there's evidence, so there's enough to hold this person till their trial. It's not like we're holding him for no reason at all.
So in essence, it's the bench or the governor's office that's circumventing the law enforcement process that we've all accepted forever and ever. Amen.
Well, Rick, the judges have authority within their courtroom, and we want to make sure it stays with them. Judges ultimately have the final say, depending on the legislation, is whether if they want to let somebody out without bail. But to take the power away from the judges and say, these particular offenses, and we talked about this months back, these particular offenses the judges could not hold even if they saw fit. We're taking the power away from the judges, and I think that's a mistake. As far as your comment by basically, I think I heard you right, basically saying, well, certain people that commit crimes, if you can't afford bail and you were, for example, in Chicago, you kidnap somebody, you second-degree murder, and because of this mentality of, well, not everybody can afford bail. Well, there we go, accommodating the offender again. Mm-hmm. Again, innocent until proven guilty, but here's my take on it. Then don't do the crime. There's got to be some level of accountability for people that participate in the criminal justice system, and I feel that's what bail reform does. Bail does.
7:32 in the morning. It is the Shopo Hour, and again, invigorating conversation. Would you like to be a part of it? Give us a call, 521-8383. Short break, bottom of the hour news, and we'll return with the boys in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Shopo Hour, 521-8383. If you want to jump on board and be a part of the program, love to hear from you. The recent headline, defense attorneys work to free violent crime defendants after Hawaii's Supreme Court ruling. And a lot of attention on this case. I spoke with attorney Megan Cow at 6:30 this morning, and it appears that the dismissal of a high-profile murder case is causing dozens of other violent felony cases expected to be thrown out as well, suspects likely freed. And attorney Victor Baque said for one of his clients, the defense bar is filing them as we speak. He expects his client to be freed within days. A procedural issue, if I understood correctly, pertaining that it was a charge on a criminal complaint. However, prosecutors are being told procedurally it was to be a grand jury. And that part, this sounds familiar. That's where we are right now. Gentlemen, dozens of suspects. Dozens.
Yeah, I mean, throughout my career, the Hawaii Supreme Court, oh my God, some of the rulings they came up with, whacked. I don't know where they're coming from, but I don't know enough about. I didn't really dig into the reason behind this ruling. I'm guessing, we were discussing this earlier. I'm guessing the Hawaii Supreme Court is saying that they want everything to go grand jury. I don't know. Is that correct, Bobby?
Yeah, the ruling, basically says that, and I think it's referring to HRS section 801-1, that felons or people suspected of committing felonies can't be charged by way of complaint. They have to go through the grand jury.
So according to this, the heart of it was the suspect. The charges against him fatally flawed because prosecutors charged him by criminal complaint. That happened after a grand jury refused to indict the suspect for shooting a teen, allegedly burglarizing his home.
See, and that we can agree with. Yeah. That if you have a case where an arrest was made because there was probable cause existed, and then you take it before a grand jury, and a grand jury comes back with a no bill saying nope, no good, then that the prosecutors should follow that, and not do a 180-degree turn and then come back and charge them with a criminal complaint.
Yeah, right. Everybody's entitled to a defense. You can't blame the defense attorneys for doing what they do, but the question is, how the hell did we get to this point? Did we not know that criminal? I don't know. Again, I don't want to speak out the side of my face, but how do we get to a point where these people were charged a certain way, and now it's going to be reversed? Because if I heard you correctly, Rick, the charges are actually going to be dismissed. Mm-hmm. Is that accurate? So basically, like it never happened, right? Somebody's going to have some explaining to do at the end. Okay, now again, we could look at the prosecutor's office, we could look at the Supreme Court, but if somebody didn't follow a certain protocol that they're supposed to, then we can't fault the defense attorneys for doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But what a tragedy.
But I think it's more on the bench.
So, okay, see, because now, again, if I heard you correctly, it's not that it's going to be revisited or refiled or whatever.
It'll be refiled.
No, I think
it'll be
refiled.
refiled. Yes,
yeah.
It's
open
that's
to.
important.
Yes.
But in the meantime,
they're out.
See,
correct.
Well.
See, and now, okay, yeah. See,
But, to Bobby's point, I got to agree. If you go to grand jury, the grand jury says no, that's it. That's our system. If you're not satisfied with a result, then, okay, we're going to do it this way until we get our result. I don't know.
the reason why it's familiar, Rick, is that's exactly
yes.
what happened with the officer involved shooting in Kalakaua.
Exactly.
The boys were brought up. The prosecutor decided to, take it to a grand jury, no bill, but that wasn't enough, or they needed to do more. So, no, we don't agree with that. Grand jury, the community had spoken, right? The community spoke.
So for your members, and even you gentlemen out on the streets, and now we have this decision that you've done everything on your side. Respond, intervene, arrest, begin the process. And then you see a story where it's this guy and dozens other. Oh, geez. It drives me nuts. Sorry. I even as just as a citizen, so frustrated that all these, because the empowerment of criminals in a, dude, we just, I'll pick that story up a little bit later, but that's where
Happens
the community
daily.
is.
Happens daily, and that's why these officers and even the public is frustrated with the way the system is over here.
I think
And
everybody's
like you
shaking
say,
their
we're
heads.
going to get into that other one later, and yep, got to vote differently.
I mean, Rick, the county police departments are still going to do what they need to do. We've said this before. If there's probable cause and people need to go to take a ride to jail because it exists, then that's going to happen. But cops live in the community too. Everybody's shaking their head, going, "What's going on in this? What's going on with this?"
So those on the left, all your theoretical, ideological aspirations for perfection doesn't exist.
No.
And I'll tell you, this is basically the definition of a conservative is a liberal who's been mugged. And for those that are espousing all of this, open the doors, don't detain, free this, and you're nothing but a bunch of oppressors, and you're biased and prejudiced against certain ethnic, geez, oh man. There was a hellacious story. Walker Lane, Khalid, where a 19-year-old was sexually assaulted, raped, first degree. And everybody knows this area. Individuals, even if they're caught, where's the consequence? It's just, I'm getting right to the edge. Right to the edge. And share with us. You speak with the public, interact with the public, talk with on patrol, and just if they come to you and say, Steve, I don't feel safe anymore. I just, one report was, I do not allow, I can't believe he said that in the context of his wife, I don't let my wife go out after dark. We have the young woman, she's just walking home, living. And anybody else that suffers at the hands of these thugs, cretins, individuals that have turned in their community card. And I feel like so impotent of what we're able to do as law-abiding citizens.
Yeah, and you hit on it, the fact that people don't feel safe, and I don't think it's on the police. I think they don't feel safe because nothing's going to happen to the criminal or the suspect if something does happen. They know that.
You know what the parallel is? Why don't people vote? They believe it's not going to make a difference. People aren't getting all habut because it's like, why? Why should I? Nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
And that's the emasculating part of the story. It is 7:46. Listen, I'm 61 next month. Can I join?
You actually can.
Of course you can.
Can I?
No
Maybe
age
we can
limit.
get Chief Joe to make you an honorary. He can do a ceremony. He can do a ceremony here in the studio.
Okay.
You can get some pictures taken and honorary officer.
You got to get rid of that Bears jersey, though.
I'll tell you, that's what. This has more authority than a Green Bay Packer jersey. I'll tell you that right now. Goodness. All right, take a break. Your telephone calls coming up. The Shopo Hour continues. Once again, you and I will have some time at the 8 to 8:30 segment to go over more news information on this Aloha Monday morning with Bobby, Steve, and Mark in studio. Let's head out to... Let's go to the Big Island. That's where Manny joins us. Manny, thank you for your call. You're on the Shopo Hour. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Just to let you guys know and your guests that I'm retired HPD. I spent 20 years working in YNI, and I'm kind of, I don't think along the same lines where I don't think people should be denied the ability to carry and conceal a weapon. I carry one. I had a LEOSA permit, but I gave up doing that, so I just keep it in my bag. But with this problem with crime, I think you guys should look at the situation and really lobby to have people be able to carry a concealed weapon. I know, Rick, your concept on that, but I want to know what is people from Shopo. And actually, I was in recruit class. Shopo was just a baby. That's how long ago. Your comments, young man.
Manny, thank you so much for serving our communities, and thank you for participating today. Bobby, I'll start with you. Thoughts on Manny's call?
Sure. Rick.
Or Steve.
No,
Yeah.
Sure, not a problem. Manny, great to hear from you. Thank you for your service. Always great if a retired officer is able to call in. The Shopo position on that is, if a law-abiding citizen wants to carry a firearm, they've passed the training, they've done everything they need to do, then that's their right to do it. And we want to make sure that our officers are trained to interact with that, and there's things we need to do. But our position, Bobby and I and the board, is concealed carry, as long as it's rolled out properly with the training, we're not against it at all. We're not against it at all. And I realize that Chief Joe has come on your show, and he's trying to work things out with the agency. We're trying to get up to speed, so we want to give them time to do it. I know there's going to be public opinion, but law-abiding citizens carrying firearms that have the training and can work that firearm in times of stress, we're okay with that.
You mentioned Manny in his call about lobbying. Do you have interactions with the administration one way or the other on this issue?
No, I don't think one way on this issue. Yeah, we'll leave it up to the 4 county chiefs and how they implement the law.
Manny, thank you very much for your call. 7:53 in the morning. News Radio 830 KHVH. Let's head on over to YNI side. Julian, thank you for your call and your patience. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, I want to just make a comment with all this bad crime that's happening all over the place. These people, we have to break the cycle of violence. Actually, they're a product of their environment. They have no equity. If you have a criminal record, you practically, even a misdemeanor, can't get a job. If you have bad credit, same thing. They can't get housing. So, yeah, of course, crime is wrong.
Excuse me for a moment. Not of course. There are many people that have come from environments that have been challenging. Many people that have emerged from poverty-stricken, abusive relationships and have become good, solid, hard-working individuals that aspire to the objectives that you just cited. So to say simply this is why major crime is happening, I don't think that's a fair blanket statement. But please continue.
Yeah, I hate crime. No one should be violated, robbery, and what have you. But these people need to. We have to, especially drugs. Once you're into that thing, I mean, you practically can't get out of it. So.
May I just real quick, Julian, I'll let you finish. I would have you ask any individual addicted to drugs, did somebody tie you down, spread eagle on the ground, handcuff you to a chair or a post, and force those drugs into your body? I'm certain a vast, vast majority would say no.
You're right. It's an addiction. It has to be broken, the cycle.
That cycle can be broken if you keep the needle out of your arm.
No, it's not that simple. It's an addiction.
Oh, Julian, you're missing the point. If you don't start, you don't get addicted.
Well, we have the problem. So, we got to work on it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. How would you work on it, gentlemen? And Julian, thank you very, very much for the call and the topicality. Gentlemen?
Yeah, Julian, thanks for calling in. But I have to disagree with you. There's a lot of people who have been either hooked on drugs, have been arrested, even for felonies, convicted, that are very successful and they contribute to society. So I think the ones that, they like to make excuses, it's the easy way out. It's not easy, yeah. I'll give it to you. It's not easy to get off drugs or, to get out there, pound the pavement to get a job. But go do it, Don't sit back and say, oh, society's fault. It's government's fault. No, it's your own butt's fault. Get your butt out there
on top of
and
that,
work on it.
On top of that, multiple billions of our collective monies are dedicated for the help, assistance, advocacy, and it transcends into the rule of law. And so you cannot find a more generous, supportive environment than this state if you're confronting a difficult situation. If you choose not to accept that help and go down the other path, you deserve every consequence that comes your way.
You're exactly right, Rick. If the individual wants to seek assistance and get out of the situation that they're in, definitely, if they have the want to do that, there's definitely programs and assistance from nonprofits and government agencies that would provide it for them. It's just that the individual wants to have to do that.
Thank you again, Julian, for the entree into the conversation. We have just a couple of moments left. Want to turn it over to the fellas for some final thoughts before we go. Brother Mark Critchio.
I want to say a shout out to all our dispatchers. They're like the lost people out there, but they are very, very, it's a very, very stressful job up there, and they send us to all our calls. And so I want to say a shout out and thank them for what they do.
Well noted. Absolutely. Shall I turn it over to Brother Steve?
Thanks, Rick. I was thinking about the last caller. We cannot get away from individuals taking personal accountability for their choices and actions. We want to support anybody that wants to get clean and sober, but make no mistake about it. Whether it's addiction to drugs or alcohol, it doesn't care what color you are. It doesn't care how much money you make. It doesn't care where you were raised in what neighborhood. It can affect everybody. And to Bobby's point, if somebody that is suffering from addiction wants to get clean and sober, then as a community, we can come together and help them. But they need to get that help. But I don't fall for this because you were raised here or because you didn't have this or that. That's why, and woe is me, you can't pull yourself up. So I don't agree with that.
Product of environment. I hear it invoked quite a bit. You are the product, and you have choices. Bobby, your thoughts?
Yesterday we celebrated, or not celebrated, but acknowledged 9/11, something that happened 21 years ago. And then we urge the public, if you see anything, say something suspicious. You just never know when something like that might happen again. And we'd also like to congratulate all of our members in Honolulu PD that will be promoted this week or next weekend. So there'll be a ceremony this week by the department and administration, and we wish them well.
Does that mean that Steve Keogh is being promoted to Emperor of all he purveys?
Well, Steve Keogh is still on restricted duty, so I don't think that's going to be
And
happening.
just in time, it's the news. Shopo Hour. Take care.